You're a piece of shit. This is a joke. That's a joke. You're really not a piece of shit. I mean, maybe you think that you are, but in all actuality, you're not. Maybe that thought has run through your mind. Maybe it's been your own voice that has been saying that to you. That you're not good enough. That you suck. How could you ever get the girl or the guy when you have X, Y, and Z that holds you back? You got this insecurity and you got this insecurity. You'll never be great. Blah, 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 blah. Now I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is you can get rid of that voice. The bad news, it's going to be pretty painful to get rid of that voice. Now, before we get into exactly how we can get rid of this stupid ass voice, we first need to understand where it comes from. Now, from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death, you are conditioned. You were conditioned by society, by media, by your peers, by your friends, by your family. You were conditioned every turn of your life. Why? Just to get you to operate in society optimally, so that you can conform and be a part of society and not be some crazy psychopath running around chopping people's heads off. Conditioning is not a bad thing. And there's so many other elements of conditioning that we could talk about, but that's not going to be the focus. Conditioning is not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. Like I said, it keeps you from turning into a complete sociopath. Now, with every good thing, there is a little bit of bad, unfortunately. That is one of the laws of the universe, is that with every piece of good, there's usually a little bit of bad, and that's fine. Now, what we have to understand is that in being conditioned, especially through our childhood years, is that a lot of times when we're told not to do something, we associate it with life or death. So if you're a loud person and you're told to shut the fuck up, a lot of times you'll associate that with death, okay? That's just how our minds operate as children. And the reason we think death is because, if you're loud, people won't like you, and if people don't like you, they'll leave you behind and abandon you. And if they abandon you, you're dead. Dead. A sad little child, all alone, about to get ate by a bear. That's just how our minds work as children. And a lot of times that's how our unconscious mind works throughout the entirety of our life. We have to understand that the unconscious mind is something that psychologists and scientists, neuroscientists, know very little about. Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung spent their entire careers trying to figure out the unconscious mind. And what we have to understand about the unconscious mind is that it's primarily centered around your survival. So when we're conditioned, a lot of these conditioned beliefs of, say, talking too loud, don't talk to strangers, don't argue, those things go into your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind associates them with survival. If you do these things, you will die. That's why we have things like social anxiety, where people freak out just standing in a group of people because they think that being around strangers is bad, right? Like I said, conditioning is not a bad thing. Please discipline your freaking kids, especially nowadays. But we also have to understand there's some bad to it as well, and that's fine. That's okay. We're doing the best with what we have. We're human beings. We can't expect us to have everything figured out underneath the sun. Now, we are conditioned, and this conditioned belief of not good enough, of you're a piece of shit, you'll never make it, you'll never be great, yada, 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 and all of the insecurities that are beneath that come from your conditioning, from the bad programs that society has given you. And you know what? There's nothing you could do about it at the time. There's no reason why you should feel guilt, but there is something you can do about it now. Like I said, it's going to be painful. It's not going to be very fun. Why? Because it means that you're going to have to tap in to the emotional side of things. Now, with the unconscious mind, It's centered on your survival. The other thing about your unconscious mind is it controls every automatic process in your body. Your heartbeat, your body temperature, it regulates both. Your blood pressure, your breathing, all of the cellular activity within your body, your unconscious takes care of. You're not aware of it, and your unconscious mind, everything that is there is things that you're unaware of, okay? We also have to understand that the unconscious mind is primarily made up of the brainstem and the cortex, two areas that, through our evolution, the brainstem being the first to develop and the cortex being the next to develop, and then your neocortex, which is where all of your logic and reasoning comes in. But that doesn't matter. What we're tapping into here is that the cortex and the brainstem operate in emotional areas, in an emotional basis. In feelings. Oh no, feelings. Yes. If you're a guy watching this channel, yep, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about feelings. I'm not going to tell you to be a little bitch and not have feelings. I'm going to actually tell you to be a man and face your feelings. So, with the unconscious mind and all of these things that are stuffed away there that prevent us from living our lives to the fullest potential and being happy and confident, we have to understand that if we're going to get rid of these beliefs, if we're going to get rid of these limiting factors in our lives and that tiny little voice in our head that's just running its mouth like the biggest shit talker on the opposing team, we need to tap into our feelings. And we have to understand about not good enough. You're a piece of shit. These things are centered in feelings of shame and guilt. Shame and guilt, right? Shame on you, you should be better. Guilt, you should be better, you should do more. Can't believe you do something like that. And we can look back at our childhood, we can peel back all the layers, look deep into exactly where this came from, but that doesn't matter. What matters is how are we going to trigger that feeling of not good enoughness within our bodies or within our heads, within our being. Once we've triggered that, we can tap into it, which brings us to letting go. Letting go is a simple technique. It is something that we all have. Yet, through our upbringing, through our operation within society, we've been led to believe that it is our logic and our thoughts that leads us to solutions. But when it comes to deep-seated beliefs within our unconscious minds, our logic does not know how to handle it because the unconscious mind does not operate within logic. So, in order to fix these beliefs, we have to tap into the feelings. I know for myself, when I think about my feelings of not good enough, when I think about my feelings of you're a piece of shit, yada, 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 it all centers right here on my heart, like a little crescent moon on the outside of my heart and my chest, right? And when we let go, all we're doing is letting go of our thoughts and any of the thoughts that relate to this feeling. What we have to understand about thoughts is that thoughts just come from this feeling. There are these little rationalizations of why we have this pain right in here. And it's our job to let that go, to let go of the mind. The mind is not here to fix this problem that's within us. It's our job to give our attention to it, to validate it, to give it our presence, to sit with it, and just be at peace and love it, regardless of what it is, and let it go. And in letting go, what you'll find, the easiest way to do this is to let go of your thoughts, to choose, because it's always a choice to let go, to choose to let go. Once you've chosen to let go, start becoming aware of your breathing. Start controlling your breathing consciously. Once you're controlling your breathing consciously, you'll find it's a lot easier to tap into your body or into your head, wherever these feelings are centering themselves. Once you've done that, you can tap your attention into the feeling. And once you tap into the feeling, it's your job not to resist it, not to want to judge it or modify it, change it in any way. You're just going to let it be whatever it is. Now here's the thing. If you can sit there long enough with this feeling, just let it run its course without your mind getting in the way. If a thought comes in, just let that thought go. Let them pass like cars and keep your attention in that feeling. And what you'll find is that it will just naturally run its course and leave. It'll go away. Now, if it doesn't go away, it probably means that there's a lot there. And when we're talking about feelings of not good enough, usually there's a shitload there that you're going to need to deal with. But it's your job to just sit there with it, to be there. It's like a grieving friend who lost someone that they loved. They're not asking you to fix anything or explain anything. They're not even asking you to talk. All they're asking is for your presence, for your love. That's it. And that's all you need to do with your feelings. And when we're talking about feelings of not good enough, they're usually centered in guilt and shame, but you should not judge them. Don't see them as good or bad. Just be there with them. Choose to be there with them. And remember, first, pull your awareness into your breath. Your breath is controlled both by your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. In tapping into your breath, you can immediately start to bridge the gap between your conscious and unconscious. Once you've done that, you can become aware of the feeling that is triggered inside of you. Once you're aware of that feeling, all you need to do is sit with it. That's it. It's so simple, but it's not easy. Why? Because it's painful. And the things that you'll experience will be extremely painful. Sometimes it may even feel like you're going to die. I've had those moments and letting go. I've had moments where I felt like I was legitimately going to die. But if you can sit there and you make the choice to do so, you'll find that it will run out. Now, you want to stay disciplined in this. This is not a one-time deal that you're like, cool, check that off the list. On to the next cool little technique and trick that'll make me feel better. This is something that you have to choose to do for the rest of your life. It's like exercise. You don't use it, you lose it. Okay? You have to be willing to do this every day. Now, you can make the choice to do it throughout your day. Every once in a while, just doing a body scan, becoming aware of your breathing and the feelings within there and just sitting with them. It doesn't take very long. Or you can do it in the mornings and the afternoons. In the mornings, you can do it thinking about your day and anything that would get in the way of your day being good. And at the end of the day, cleaning up any of the shit that came out during the day. If you do this, I promise, those feelings, those beliefs of you not being good enough will disappear. And you'll start wondering what else is possible with the technique of letting go. This is Jacob with Take to Living, signing off.